Hi there, everybody. Welcome to your part two of running retreats training. This week, we are talking about running full weekend retreats. Our last training, we talked about running a 1 day retreat. I think that's a little bit easier for people to kind of jump into or wrap their brains around. Maybe if you're already running stamp camps or you're already kind of used to that, it's time to jump into a full weekend retreat. Now, I'm going to give you, we're going to follow last week's, agenda pretty closely because everything that you would do for a 1 day retreat, it's still in the mix for a full weekend retreat. It just is a little bit more work and it's a little bit more difficult and it's a little bit more of a financial risk. So we want to make sure that when you're finding a location or you're finding this place to do that as much as possible, you're not having to put money out front to reserve a place. But a full weekend retreat is amazing. It is a lot of work, but fun work. I think it's one of the most fun work that I do, and that I know that people who do retreats love them, and they're busy, but boy, do they bring up so much joy and money and sales and happy customers. So this is something I'd love to see you work into your business. Now, if you have no customers and you're just starting from scratch, jumping into a full weekend retreat is going to be tough. You're just not going to find people to come. You have to have been working your business, having customers, downline members, being active in your own team. So a lot of people who attend retreats are demonstrators because obviously that's the most avid crafter that we know. A lot of people who run retreats go to retreats themselves. They go to crops and scrapbooking weekends. And so you have a lot of connections. But starting from scratch, remember, might be a little bit tricky for you. No matter what, I want you to jump in and get started. Some of your very first ones might be smaller. I think I told you my very first one I had 13 people at, and I was actually ecstatic about that. But I even scratched and clawed and begged for even those 13 people. So, and I had a pretty established customer base. So we need to start working on it right away. I really believe that we're going to talk a little bit about filling your retreat. And I have complete and absolute confidence that once you start these, you will fill them if you run them the way that I teach you. Other people run retreats and they're not full and they don't grow, and they don't because they're not doing all the things that we're mapping out. They're not doing pillow gifts. They're not doing goodie bags. They're just doing little things. I'm not saying it's bad, but what I'm saying is it's not going to grow. If you want your retreats to grow, you really have to listen to the system because it works without a doubt. Every demonstrator I know that I have worked with that's followed this plan has grown their retreats and usually are full within a year or two. But it does take some time. But the biggest thing is to get it started. So let's jump in. A full weekend retreat is usually held at a hotel, or not necessarily always a hotel. Hotels can be very risky when it comes to money. Like they expect money up front. They are usually very expensive, and a lot of times you have to use their food if they have a restaurant on location, and that can be very expensive. So hotels are not always the answer. But you also can look at retreat centers. There are actually a lot of crafting houses that they're out there now. Even in right here I'm at, in Ovid, Michigan, in Langsburg, there are 3 within 30 minutes of here that are actual crafting houses. One of them holds almost 40 people. Another one holds 16. Another one holds 22. So these places are used to what you do. So that's even another place to start. I know you're probably saying, well, I don't have anything like that around me. Okay, listen, you don't know until you look. So go to Google, search, scrapbooking weekend, crafting house, just things like that. They're out there. The other thing that I know where I started was a retreat center. It was a church retreat center, and they are made for groups of people getting together. So the rooms are dorm style rooms, so they're not perfect, but it usually has a really huge gym where you can use their space, and they probably already hold some sort of crafting retreat or scrapbooking retreat. So finding a location is again number one. Okay, so I gave you another handbook to follow along with. It's actually a lot. I left you space to take notes because these are just bullet points, and then the real information is going to come from the video when you actually watch it. So let's get started. And what is your formula to put together an award-winning, an income-driven, and fun and business-growing weekend retreat? There is a difference because there are retreats out there that are not like that, and then you're just going to get frustrated. So let's focus on how you can build the best retreat possible. So number one, step one again, is finding a location. Like I said, a hotel or a retreat center. You have to be able to negotiate. Hotels are going to be stinking expensive. My hotel room where I'm at was $1,500 for the day. Okay, my whole budget for the whole weekend was $600 is what I had mapped out. I had figured I could probably get about 30 people, and I'm charging each of them $20 to help pay for that room fee. So when I told them that my budget is $600, they laughed at me and said, "No way." And I said, "Okay, that's my budget." And I said, "But I am going to have people that are actually going to stay at your hotel. It's just not like I'm using your room." And they came down to my $600 budget because I guaranteed to have at least 10 rooms per night filled. So you can negotiate with them. A lot of times if you are using their rooms, they will give you the room sometimes for free, or they will give it to you for a significant discount. The other hotel, I have two different hotels that I use, and both of them I negotiated a price with them. I came in with a budget, and they worked with me. Also because I use it 4 times a year, so they're a lot more willing to work with me when they know I'm going to be coming back all the time. And the second one I did, the room was again outrageous. It was like $2,000 for the weekend, the whole three days. And what they do for me is every room that's rented, they give me like $10 off of the room. So again, if they're staying 2 nights or 3 nights, and it adds up to where it falls within my budget. Plus they came down on their cost a little bit for me. So it's something I want to give you empowered that anytime I call a hotel to work on any event that I do, there is negotiating that takes place. So you have to know your budget. And to come up with your budget, you kind of have to know how many people you think you're going to have. Your first one, you may only think you can fill with 20 people. And if you're going to follow my budget where you're only collecting $20 per person for the room, that means your room can only be $400. So either you're going to have to raise your budget or you're going to have to find a different hotel. Again, to stay within a much more affordable option, look for local retreat centers, look for local, like even Girl Scout cabins. There, I can tell you all kinds of places where my demonstrator friends hold their retreats, and most of them are not at a hotel. Hotels can be expensive. But if you do find a hotel, then you really have to negotiate that price. So that's the first thing. You cannot go on with anything else until you have a location. That's the hardest thing to find. And your location may only hold 20 people. That's okay to get started. You may outgrow it, but at least you can get one started as you're looking for another some other place that holds more people. But just go ahead and get it started, even if you can only hold 20. The second thing is you need to identify your partner if you're going to have a partner. So I discussed this last week about how you find a partner, why you might need one, the benefits, the pros and the cons. So it's the same thing with a weekend retreat. If you don't think you can fill a room, then it's a good thing to get a partner. Always look for a downline member first, so that way as they're growing their business, it's helping your business grow as well. Or you can go to a sideline that you're very, very good friends with and work well with. But keep in mind, even when you have a partner, you're eventually going to break apart so you both can do your own retreats. The whole point is to grow and to keep adding on to them. So identify if you're going to. Getting a hotel and a full weekend retreat definitely has its fair share of risk. So having a partner does alleviate some of that stress. Okay, number 3, after you have your location and after you have decided if you're going to have a partner or not, because remember, you don't have to have one. If you don't have a partner, though, you have to have some helpers that day, but you don't have to have a partner. But a lot of people do when they run their retreats, especially at first until they get established, and then you both can run your own retreats after that. But number 3 is to pick your dates. So if you look at, it's not only pick your dates, on this one I want you to also pick your time, like because your time does discern what your budget's going to be. So that's something else to think about. So pick your date. Obviously, spring or fall is the most popular times, but you can also do one in the winter. I know some people, I do one in the winter, even in this yucky Michigan weather, because people need to get away for the weekend. Weather does play a part in it sometimes, but I do mine 4 times a year. I would recommend starting off with just 1 or 2 if you're just starting off. If you've been running retreats and you fill yours up, add in another one. Try doing 4 a year if you think you can handle it. I know I never thought I could handle more than doing 2 a year. But again, I got a helper, I have a partner, and so it makes it so they're doable to run multiples of them per year. Actually, we run 4. Okay, so pick your date, and this obviously you have to work with your hotel to find what weekend that they do have available. The next is your timing of a weekend retreat. Now I'm going to tell you what I do, and there's tons of variations. I'll tell you why I choose what I choose, and then again, there's lots of variations. So I start on Friday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I do this so that I don't have to serve them lunch, and it still gives me the whole day pretty much to set up. So I don't have to set up the night before. I don't have to give up another evening. I only have to set up that day. And we get there usually about 10 o'clock. It takes me about 4 to 5 hours to set up the whole room. Now I've been doing it for a while, and I always have a partner and a helper. So there are 3 or 4 of us setting up the room. So if you don't have a helper, then you're going to need a lot more time. But I usually start Friday at 2. Now some people start Friday in the morning. If you do that, keep in mind that you're going to have to add on another meal onto your budget, or you just don't include lunch if you don't want to for that one. And then you'll have to add on another day of work because you'll have to come in the night before to set up. So just keep that in mind. So just adding on a few hours actually adds on quite a bit of more time onto your end of things. Now we get done on Sunday at 2 o'clock. Yes, I could probably have my room until midnight because I'm paying for the whole day. But number one, I have a family at home. Being there till midnight is just that much more time away from my family, and I'm already giving up a couple days. So I'm very anxious to get home to my family at that point, and I am exhausted, and you will be too, and so will everybody else in that room. So we get done on Sunday at 2 o'clock. For the same reason is I do not do any meals on Sunday. So people can leave a little bit earlier if they want to. 2 o'clock is pushing people being really hungry. So they usually leave a little bit before then and go get some lunch. So I do not provide any lunches on Friday or Sunday. That helps me keep my budget way, way down. Those are the times that I choose. I used to do different times. This is what I have adapted to, and we really, really like these times. Some people do all day Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday option, and that's okay too. Of course, your budget is going to grow immensely. You always have to just add your expenses on that you have. So people do an optional Thursday add-on day or an optional full day Friday. And if you do that, you're just going to have to add on the expenses of a meal if you're going to provide meals. And then also they will have the expenses of adding on their hotel rooms. Okay, so that is picking your date and your time. So make sure you're picking your times as to when you're going to start and when you're going to end. All right, the number 4 is to set your budget. I'm again going to give you a formula. And if you look, it's the same formula that I did for the one-day retreat. Any retreat, pretty much any event that I do, this is just the really easy formula to stick by. So number 1 is your goodie bag. And I, again, put down here, good bag. Well, it's a really good bag. So the value for a full weekend one is $50 in product. This is why the retreats that I teach you are so good and so successful, and people want to come back again, is because when they get there, they are going to have a present of a goodie bag of gifts, of product, of things that you are going, not just giving them for no reason. We are going to use them. We are going to teach them how to use them, and I'm going to show you that through here so that they love getting their bag of stuff. Yes, they're paying for it. They don't know that. They have one fee. They have one fee, and they don't know where we pull that money from. But $50 is what I put in towards their goodie bag. Now there might be, I'll teach you when we get to the pillow gifts, a couple of their goodie bag items I might also incorporate into a pillow gift. And so I'll talk about that when we get to the pillow gifts. But a goodie bag is usually a suite of products, and we'll talk about that here in a minute too. So this is your budget. Your goodie bag is $50. This is why when I have 20 people come to a retreat, or 40 people, or 60 people, now my sales are $1,000, $2,000, and $3,000 just for starting the retreat. I haven't even done anything there yet. So people who run retreats, and I hear them say, oh, well, no one bought anything. They don't help my sales. I'm losing money. There's so much work. My number one question is, do you do a goodie bag? Because if you don't, you're right. You work just as hard as I do at a retreat, but my sales are $3,000 at the end of the day, and yours was small, if any, because you're not including a goodie bag. And trust me, your people will pay what you ask because they're going to love their goodie bag. And you don't know until you try. So I could just know from experience, the cost of our retreats is very, very affordable. A lot of people actually charge way more than I do. Celine Kempton follows my budget, but her retreat's like I think $200 or $175 or whatever, because people will pay that. People pay that. People in California charge $275 for their weekend retreat, including the same things that I do, but their cost of living there is higher. So our cost is $149. It's very cheap for a really good quality weekend. So always include a goodie bag, and it should always be a minimum of $50. That's US pricing. Okay. The next thing is a room fee or their table fee. So this is a tricky one to come up with because you kind of have to know how many people are coming, and you have to know how much your budget is. So once you are holding your retreats consistently, then you'll easily know this number. But to begin with, if you're just starting off, it's a little scary to come up with this figure. My initial room I ever had was $400. And I knew I could probably get 20 people there. So I charged $20 for their room fee. That's how I came up with the budget. So hopefully you can come up with your budget. You can find a room that might be $500, and you think I can have 20 people come. So that's $25 that you're going to add on to their budget. The cool thing is my room can actually hold 60 people, and I still charge them that $20 fee. So actually, I'm collecting $1,200, and my room now only costs me $700. So I have some more money in there to play with a few things. But just keep in mind, that you need to charge them for their table space or it's actually going to cover the cost of the room. And the room, your scrapbooking room, will usually also have like tax included and sometimes like service charges. So you got to make sure what your final figure is going to be for that room. The next thing is food. Food as well, it has a lot of variances. We're going to get to the food here in a little bit. We'll talk about it. But my budget that I have in here is $25. You have to figure out what your food is going to cost, and you plug that in. The next one is pillow gifts, and I have a $7 pillow gift budget. We'll talk about pillow gifts in a minute. Snacks, like a candy buffet, like just snacks. I have $3 per person. I include a bag. My bag budget is $4 per person. And I don't think I'm talking about the bag any further in. So personally, I do branded bags that are nice. They're not like super fancy by any means, but they're decent. And I do a different one every single time. That's because I actually am able to order usually between 150 to 250 bags. I get them in bulk. And I do that because I have other team members that run retreats and they will purchase the bags. I sell them online. I have a Be Creative store where people can buy bags. I sell them at my conventions, retreats, leadership events. I have a lot of events where I can sell these bags. So I'm able to buy them in bulk so that other people get them from cheaper, and then so do I. You probably will not have that. You can still find a $4 bag. You can probably still find even a $3 bag, but you'll be getting yours from like a dollar store or from like the dollar spot at Target. It could be a cute, just like craft handled bag that you put a tag on it. You can make your bags very, very cute. You can even put them in the like large clear cello bags that Stampin' Up! Does and put a big bow on it. Don't let the bag stress you out. Just keep looking and keep looking. You may find enough demonstrator friends that would like to all go in and purchase a bag. But you got to figure out what is your bag budget. I know someone else who just ran a retreat, an awesome retreat, and her bag budget was $12, and she got them beautiful bags that were branded with her brand. They cost $12 a bag. But guess what? She worked that into the cost of her retreat. So whatever your bag is, that's the dollar amount you're going to stick in there, okay? The next one is your profit. Profit for a full weekend retreat, I recommend a minimum of $40. You're going to make $40 per person who walks through that door. Let me explain to you why. First of all, I want to empower you to tell you it's okay to make money. You don't have to work for free. You should not work for free. And God forbid, you should pay people to stamp with you. But our mentality is such that you're not worth it. People won't pay it. They can't afford it. I'm telling you right now, yes, they can. And yes, you are worth it. And if you had 40 people come through that door and you're charging $40 per head, that's $1,600 cash that you are going to make for working not only that whole weekend, but it's going to take you 2 weeks to prepare for this event. This event takes time and effort. A lot of times I have to pay a helper to help me prepare the pillow gifts, to help me cut and prep for the make and takes. I am paying out money to make this event happen. So you have to make money to be able to afford to make this event doable and duplicatable so you can do it, several times a year. $40 is where I highly recommend that you have that price point. If you have 20 people who come, you're going to be making $800 in profit. Not to mention, you're also going to be making your volume rebate off of your goodie bags and your sales off of your goodie bags, your flex points off of your sales, and I'm going to show you lots of other ways that you're going to make money from doing a retreat. So this is just the beginning. When I get home from a retreat, it's hard. I was gone all weekend. My husband missed me. I missed probably my son's soccer games and basketball games. I missed my daughter's, something. I make a sacrifice to leave my family for an entire weekend when I do this. Well, it's about 3 days. And the weeks leading up to it, I'm very busy. So when I get home on that Sunday, I sit down on the table, the stack of money that I made, and I let my husband and my kids all have some of it. We share it. I take the bulk of it, but I give them money for the week, and I let them know that, you know what, my mom leaves. I know it's hard, but I am doing this for a reason. Number one, I have all my awesome stampers and friends. But number two, I'm doing this to help support our family. So yes, because they see my pictures and say, she's having fun, she's laughing, this is a girls' weekend, like she's sacrificing her girls for them. They don't see that really it was still a lot of work. Yes, I had fun. Yes, it was a girls' weekend. And yes, I love my friends. But I also was very, very profitable, and I'm going to teach you to be very profitable as well. So do not, that was a big spiel, make sure you work profit into the cost, and I recommend minimum of $40. Okay, so the total cost for my retreat is $149. So that's what I would charge if they have to pay me. Now, the next part on top of this is if they're going to stay at the hotel, they have to get a room and stay at the hotel. Now, what I love about hotels is that they call the hotel directly and make their own reservations. I don't have to do any of that. They find their own roommates and they pay the hotel directly. I do negotiate a blocked rate. So for instance, my hotel rates are actually $139.95 a night. I've negotiated $89.95 a night, and every hotel, everyone will negotiate a room rate if you can block like 5 or 10 or 15. So you want to make sure that you are asking for a room rate. Now, if you're doing this at like a retreat center or like a getaway location, a lot of times the cost of what you have to pay the place includes the room. So you have to include that in your cost. So as an example, the place we did before, when it was a retreat center, it was $100 per person to pay them just for their room to sleep in, which is actually pretty cheap. That's only $50 a night for their room. But I had to collect that. So my retreat then was $249, and I had to collect that. Now I love it where they only pay me $149, and then the rest of it they pay to the hotel. And they pay it in different chunks, so it doesn't seem quite as expensive. And also, local people don't have to stay at the hotel. They can drive back and forth and make it even less expensive. So everyone has their own options. All right, number 5 in our to-do list plan is to start to market. Once you have your location, your date, your budget, then it's time to start marketing, right? Like, we need to create your flyer and a registration sheet. So I showed you last week a one-day. I'll show you this time a full weekend one. They're very similar. I just changed the amounts on them, really. Number 2 is I have a Facebook group. Mine's called Creative Escape Retreats. And this is where I keep them up to date whenever they are. They get the first spots, dibs on the spots, and mine do fill up. So the Facebook group gets all the first dibs. And I share pictures, I show things that we're working on, and all year long I keep them excited about the upcoming retreats that I'm having. I also advertise for my retreats to go there as well. So starting a Facebook group exclusively for your retreats or a business page is really smart. It sets it apart that it's going to be a part of your business. You run these awesome retreats on top of your regular business that you're doing as well. Number 3, to fill my retreats in the very beginning, I did a bring a friend or a finder's fee. A finder's fee. So if they brought somebody with them, I gave them a $20 gift certificate off anything they want in the catalog. So everybody got to get that there. Yes, I basically took half of my profit from that person and used that to purchase that person's product, but I needed to do that to be able to fill that place. And I did that for maybe a year, just a couple retreats until it was full. I didn't have to do that anymore. But typically, to grow a retreat, you're going to grow from within. So you're going to grow from the people who are coming. They're going to come again the next time, and they're going to bring their sisters and friends. And they're going to come the next time, they're going to bring their sisters and friends. So typically, you grow from within, which I love, because then everyone kind of knows each other and everything. Everyone kind of knows how it's ran. You don't have to start from scratch. It's nice. Now, but to get to that point, you have to have a few really good customers or friends or family members who are coming, and then you got to bribe them to bring their friends and their family members. So I would do a finder's fee until you have that place full. Okay, number 4 is you need to be active in local online crafting groups around you. You need to be active in looking into other cropping groups and scrapbooking groups. You may even start attending some scrapbooking retreats in your area so you can meet people who like to attend these things. So, and it's a lot of times they'll even let you advertise. Now, if you're going to a fellow demonstrators retreat, do not advertise for that there. I'm talking about places that are really broad and they're just scrapbooking, and it might be ran by they have like these scrapbooking companies, not an actual, but they come in, they put these on, and now they're not one person is affiliated with any specific company, so that's just something to think about. But you need to get yourself out there if you're going to find people to bring to what you offer. But they have these local Facebook groups too. Ours is just even a local Langsburg community page. I can advertise, hey, does anybody like, scrapbooking or paper crafting? I have a whole weekend retreat. Here's the information. They let me do that as long as it's not something I do like every day or every week, But if I ever had spaces, or if I have like a big event here at my studio, I can advertise on there. Word of mouth, face-to-face is the best way to fill your retreat. Again, have your flyer, explain what it is. It is expensive for a lot of people, but not really in the big scheme of things. It's not that expensive for a whole weekend away. But to go and just, craft for the weekend, it can be expensive. So you need to explain what it is that they're going to expect from being there. And then, so I swear, people that I know, the people I've worked with, my partners, and I in the beginning, I talked to people into coming. You have to come. You're going to love it. This is what we're going to do. Because they probably have never been to one before. Or they might have been to like just a fundraiser crop and it was like $30 for the day. And yours is like $150 for the whole weekend. Like, why? And so you need to kind of really face-to-face, mouth-to-mouth, explain to them, well, don't use your mouth in their mouth, but you know what I'm talking about. Like, you need to really tell them what it's about and invite them to come and fill it. You have 20 spaces to fill. Maybe you have 10, maybe you have 30, I don't know, but you've got to fill them so that you have a place to grow and you're not losing money. The first couple ones you do, guys, the profit's not quite as high because you might not have the attendance. But just stick to the plan, keep growing, keep consistent, keep inviting, and you will get to that point where you are very profitable. The last thing is actually having a separate page on your blog that is just for your retreats. So people can register there, they can sign up for the next one, they can get information about it. This is something actually I don't do. I used to have it, but my retreats are always so full, I don't have to advertise for them at all. And I don't want people asking because they're full already. So, but this is something as you're working on getting full, as you're working on having open spaces, have an actual page, retreats or crafting retreats, and have a page on there where they can read about it, and they actually can either email you to get more information or they can download the registration forms right there. If those of you who have a blog, you should know how to start a page and have a separate link that people can just access all the information on your retreats. I highly recommend that. So obviously, those are just some of the basic ways to market. You're also going to be posting it on Facebook. One of the best things you can do is to take pictures at your current retreats that you're doing. So to grow your retreat, you want to take pictures at your retreat and post those and try to capture a lot of the fun because people can't visualize what it's like, but then once they see the pictures, they're like, I've got to go there next time and I can't miss it. Okay, number 6 is to plan your goodie bag. Again, the value is at least $50 US. These supplies that they're going to use, number 1, it should be like a coordinating suite. So everything goes together, everything makes sense. Sometimes I'll include like a pack of note cards and envelopes, a pack of designer series paper, matching buttons and matching ribbon, and I always put in their coordinating cardstock too. So I usually put the cardstock pack or maybe half a pack. I love now that all of our designer series papers has a matching cardstock pack. I almost always do that. So when people want to make cards at their table, that they'll have the coordinating cardstocks to be able to do that with. So you want to make sure everything coordinates, and obviously that it adds up to right about $50. I do not put my instant income in this. I do a value at $50 because my profit is coming from the $40 that I already have into the fee, and then I'm also going to get paid my volume rebate as well. So I will get some commission off of this, but I actually include exactly a $50 product price. The other thing that you want to do is all of their make and takes are very inexpensive to offer because they're going to use their own supplies for the make and takes. I do prepare the cardstock bases and I do any punching or big shot work they need, but all the designer series paper, the ribbons, the embellishments, all of that comes from their goodie bag. So this has 2 important key concepts to it. One is there's no expense for you. It's very, very little expense, obviously, because if you're putting in this huge $1,000, $2,000 order, you're going to have a lot of host rewards that you can get some of that cardstock on. It also allows them to see the value of their goodie bag. Like, why did they spend all of that money? There is definite value there, and they'll see it when they're actually making their make and takes with it. So it helps a lot on many different avenues. Number 7 is to plan your pillow gifts. I like to use their goodie bag supplies. So what I'm putting in their goodie bag, I will have my own, and I will make the pillow gifts from there. So again, they see another value. They'll see more projects, more cuteness using the things in their goodie bag. A lot of times over the weekend, people will be making some of those pillow gifts because they saw them in action. Now, not every project, but a good handful of them will be using like that same paper or the same ribbon, or so they can see the versatility and the value of the products in their goodie bag. I also like to get some sort of gift. So I have a $7 budget for pillow gifts. So usually I will order them like mugs, and I will put my brand on it. I will find like keychains and I'll monogram them. I will do little jars that have candy in it. So 1 or 2 of their pillow gifts are usually something substantial. The other ones are just paper, where I'll make like a box with some candy in it, or I'll do like I just did one, and we did the True Gentleman buttons, and I just made a flower for on top of it. So sometimes, usually 2 of their gifts, I will pull something from their goodie bag, and I will use it as I'll decorate it as one of their pillow gifts. So it's usually one of the first gifts they get, and then the second gift they get, because they need to have those gifts in order to complete the make and takes. So they get a gift right when they check in. It's sitting at their desk. It is usually a jar of candy or a little box that I've made with candy in it. It might be a little, whatever, some little container that I've made, or maybe that I've purchased, that I can find for like 50 cents or the most. Again, I stick to my $7 budget. And then I fill it with some candy. And keep in mind, candy needs to fit into your budget because candy can be very expensive. And I usually put their monogram on it. There's always a nameplate when they sit down with their name on it, and then their goodie bag. That's their first gift. Their second gift I give to them that evening, and I actually walk around. It's a thank you gift, and it'll say thank you on it. It'll say thank you, or I appreciate you, or you're the best, or something. And I will walk around to each individual person It might take me a half an hour or an hour, and I will thank them for coming. I will say hi, and I hand them their present. I want to make sure that I'm actually physically talking to each person. Their third gift is the next morning, and I wake up super early, or I have someone else wake up super early, or I do it before I go to bed. So sometimes it might be like 3 o'clock in the morning, there's only a couple people awake, I'll do it then too. And I go and I put their present on their chair so that when they pull their chair out in the morning, their little present is sitting there. So that's their third gift. The fourth gift I give to them is on Saturday night, and it's another gift where I usually will just set their stations, or it's another one that might be more usually like a keychain or a scissor charm or something that they can actually take home with them, and I give it to them on that evening. Because some people leave first thing on Sunday morning, or they even leave Saturday night, and so I want to make sure I give them like their nice gift at that time. The Sunday morning gift is usually something small. And what it does is it usually holds something that talks about the next retreat. So it'll be like a Post-it note holder, and on the Post-it note it'll say, hope to see you at a retreat in July or the summer, or it just will say, thanks for coming, and I can sign my name. It's usually something, this last one, I gave like a little bag of sweethearts, and I just said, thanks for coming, hope to see you at a retreat we're having in the spring or whatever. So I always give the dates for the next one, and I give them the information on the next retreat. So that's how we leave it on Sunday. It has their gift, and it has the information on the next retreat. So we're going to talk about that too here. I want to make sure we're not going too far over. So those are the 5 pill gifts that I do for a full weekend retreat. Pill gifts are very, very, very important. This is what sets us apart from any other scrapbooking crop that people go to. When they feel spoiled and they feel surprised and they feel appreciated, they are going to come back and they will pay whatever it takes to be able to do that. And they'll invite their family and friends to come back too. Okay, number 8 is to plan your make and takes. This is simple. Typically, we do 6 make and takes at my weekend retreats, and they're not difficult. They're 6 simple projects. I only have 2 tables set up for make and takes. They only hold probably 10 people, and I'll have 60 there. So not everyone makes their make and takes at the same time. We do 3 in the morning and then 3 in the evening. And so they have like 6 hours in the morning and like 6 hours in the evening to be able to complete those 3 projects. They bring their goodie bags and their paper trimmers and their basic toolkit, and they go back to the make and take tables and they make their make and takes. And that's how I run them. You may have this huge room that you can set them up all at the same time. I don't. I have 2 tables as all that I can use for our make and takes. So we just do 3 at a time. And the tables hold about 10 people. And so they just rotate, and I've been doing it this way for 10 years, and it works really, 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 really well. One exception is if you are going to do a retreat where they're actually making a lot of projects or like actual mini classes. And in that case, then you are going to have to actually have buckets of supplies that they will use with printed instructions, and they can do those at their stations. So that one is quite a bit more work, and it's more expensive because you have to have the cost of printing up the instructions with step-by-step pictures and tutorials. So, but it works. And those are ones where you're actually including like mini classes in the whole retreat as well. Okay, number 9 is to plan your food. I do, by the way, still do a no food option, and it's usually half and half. If I have 60 people, I probably only have 33 that are doing the food, and I have 27 that are not. This day and age, a lot of people like to bring their own food, or they're on diet restrictions, or there's food allergies, or they just want to go out and eat at a restaurant. They don't want to stay in the room the whole 3 days. So always give a no food option. And that also means that you don't have to try to work around people's allergies or food restrictions. But I do always do a food option as well. So you need to plan your food. If you follow, depending on when you start and when you end, you got to figure out how many meals does that cover. Number 1, does your hotel provide breakfast? Hopefully they do. If they don't, maybe breakfast can just be on their own and they can buy it from the hotel. And then maybe you can just provide maybe some muffins or something, but it's very difficult to provide breakfast. So hopefully the hotel provides it, or you can just say it's not included in the fee. So then they have to go get breakfast on their own. You also have to talk to your hotel. Are you allowed to bring outside food in? This is huge. It can be very expensive to use a hotel's food. So you have to either negotiate a cost of the food with them, or you have to be able to negotiate that you can bring food in. My $25 budget on the other page is for 2 dinners and 1 lunch, so only 3 meals. Breakfast is on their own, and each dinner has a $9 budget. For dinners, I typically do Olive Garden catering, I do a Mexican restaurant catering, or I just have a caterer. I've done that for many years. I have a caterer, and I said, I have a $9 budget. I would like some chicken, some side dish, a salad, and rolls, and they make that happen. So you can look for a caterer as well. And I have a $7 budget for lunch, and I almost always do Subway for lunch. One of their big 6-foot subs and chips and a veggie tray and a cookie. Always got cookies. And we just do bottled water for a drink. The hotel has vending machines if they want to do pop or anything special. Again, you have to do your research. I cannot tell you what to provide for the food. You have to just think about what you would want. I do not like worrying about the food. I have to worry about so much else. The food is like the worst thing that I have to deal with. So I like just doing all-inclusive places that take care of everything. I also like to negotiate coffee, tea, and water being included in my scrapbooking room, because scrapbookers like to have that 24/7. So you need to negotiate the cost of that, or that they will actually include it in the cost of your room. Okay, so that's food. What you're going to plug into your budget is not $25. You're going to plug in what your food is going to cost. So if you can do like me, where you're allowed to bring in food, you could do $25. If your hotel doesn't allow it, the last retreat center we did they had a cafeteria, and they provided all the meals for us, and it was like $22 for 2 dinners and a lunch. So it was even cheaper there. So you just got to find out what location you're going to and how you're going to work the food with them. All right, the last 15 minutes, we're going to talk about running your retreat, and we might not get through everything. I've got lots of tips here. These are just tips and things that you'll do actually at your retreat. Okay, let's jump right in. You're going to want to bring your supplies with you. This is where I boast. They can come and use all of my supplies. So I will bring all of my punches, Big Shot things, stamp sets, stamp pads. It is a pain. It is the worst part of a retreat. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Boxing everything up and then setting it out and then putting it all away afterwards. It's my least favorite part, but I always get a helper. I'm just going to tell you, I have someone who helps me. I have Jane, and Jane comes and actually meets me at my studio, and she actually helps me pack everything up. But I do have to unpack on my own. But she does, and she helps me load my car, because I just hate doing that. So I'd rather she gets to come for free. And so to get to come for free, it's worth $150. She comes and does these things. Plus, Jane's my friend, and we enjoy being together. Now, a borrowing system. You need to either have a checkout system, so they write their name on a list with what they borrowed, so you know who has it. I have a really cool system. I think it works really well. It's also the door prizes. So I take colors. I take all of our colors, and I cut them into, take one sheet, and I cut it into 4 1/4 by 2 3/4, so I can get 8 out of a sheet. So everybody is a color, and they have 8 pieces of cardstock that are the same exact same exact size. So when they want to go borrow a stamp pad, they take their color and they slip it into the slot for the stamp pad. If they want to borrow a punch, they put it in the spot of the punch. If they want to borrow a stamp set, they write the name of the stamp set and put it on the table where it checks out. So if they are really red, there's only one person who's real red. And we'll know, real red, you have a punch, or real red, you have this stamp pad. It works pretty good. I keep one piece of their paper, and so I have one piece of everyone's paper, and that is how we do door prizes. So I'll draw and say, okay, Pacific Point, you won a prize, and Pacific Point comes up. It's real tricky when you say, okay, powder pink, you won. Well, powder pink could also be blushing bride, or it could be pink pirouette, or it can be tricky. So it's kind of fun to compare them to make sure that they're actually the right color, or that I even got the color correct. So it's fun. That's my borrowing system. Or you can just have little clipboards that have numbers on it, and people just have to check them in and check them out so that things don't come up missing. And things do come up missing. I put that on here. You will lose some product. I venture to think that it is accidents. People accidentally put it away, or they take it. And so it happens. And so this is why you make money. This is why you have to make sure that you have that profit worked in, because you'll have to buy a new set of framelits. You'll have to buy a couple new stamp pads. I have folders that are broken, punches that are broken, punches that come up missing. It happens. So that's why you have the money to say, I can buy a new one. Don't worry about it. It's just stuff. All right, the next one. I do a fun raffle to offset my expenses. So sometimes I like to do, I'm going to talk about doing a yummy dessert or a fun game with some prizes. I want some more money to do fun things with at my retreat. Or if you do decorations, or sometimes I just go over budget on the food. I go over budget quite a bit on the food. So I do a raffle to help me offset the cost of some of my expenses. And so I take all the things I got on the host rewards, and I get fun prizes. And I even use my half price items. And I will do a raffle, and I sell raffle tickets. I do 3 tickets for $5, 7 tickets for $10, and 20 tickets for $20. And then all that money, it just goes to help me pay for expenses. And the product doesn't really cost me anything except for my half price items, and it's just fun, plain out fun to do a raffle. And we do a raffle on Saturday before lunch and then Saturday at dinner time. So we draw twice. So there's a raffle that you can do. And the next thing is I have a store, and the store is actually quite profitable. And I will sell kits. So I sell any of our cash and carry kits that we have. I sell lots and lots of those kits. People get bored. They are it's Saturday night and they don't feel like thinking anymore, but there's a kit sitting there. What happens is they'll see someone else making a kit, and then they want to make that same kit. So I will have even past paper pumpkin kits that I have not assembled, the Softly Falling, the Oh Happy Day, all those all-inclusive ones. I will also have kits from the clearance rack on there. I will have past classes that I've done that people maybe didn't show up, or I cut for extra, and I'll have the instructions slipped in there, and then they can buy those. I sell a ton of adhesive. I literally think I sell every drop that I bring. When people are leaving, they're just buying it because they used all theirs up and they need more. So I bring snail, tear tape, mini glue dots, dimensionals, the green glue, and I sell it all. So definitely have an adhesive thing when you're there. People use way more than what they expect, especially if they're taking optional classes or the make and takes. And I bring retired product with me too and sell that as well. I don't really bring stamp sets, but I bring retired paper and ribbons and, again, kits, packs of paper. The clearance rack, I stock up on things in the clearance rack, but that store is pretty busy. Have a candy snack bar, and I keep it full the whole time that they're there. I just put licorice out and bits of chocolate, M&Ms. I bargain shop for candy when I can, and then I also put out snacks like granola bars, bags of chips, bags of cookies. They all get eaten. I don't take home anything. It comes home bone dry. Women get the munchies at night, and men too, but they get the munchies and they get hungry, and me included. Things are crackers, so I don't keep it stocked the whole time because people all bring their own snacks too. But I like to have a nice, fun candy buffet and snack. And I do also like to have some healthy things on there, like almonds or pretzels, or I always do a veggie tray for lunch, and then I'll put the whole veggie tray out there as well. till it's all gone. The next thing the next thing I have to say on here is a state of mind. Why are you there? What is this weekend about? This weekend is not about you getting away. It's about you serving your customers. So I tell them that. They always think that they are interrupting you or bothering you. And I want them to know that they are there and I'm here to help them and be with them. And so if they need me, please. I mean, I might have things I'm working on just because I'm working on them, but I am there to serve them and help them and inspire them. So I want to make sure that I'm there to build relationships and to walk around and talk to people. The next one is to run optional classes. I usually do 5 optional classes at a full weekend retreat. We do 1 on Friday, 3 on Saturday, and 1 on Sunday. And I say we because I could not do all 5. It's way too many. So I usually have 2 or 3 of them are done by my partner. So my partner will do some and I'll do some. If you don't have a partner, then you can have maybe a downline member run a class or 2 there. I actually really I personally only like to do 2 classes myself because I also have to do everything else. So, but I'll offer 5. Because I'll have one of my downline members be able to run a class there as well. And that just helps them with their sales. And my customers love to take classes. I charge $25 a class typically, and it includes $20 in products. So I usually will pick a stamp set and do like 5 cards with it. Or we'll do like a stamp a stack, and they will make 16 cards, and I'm charging $25. So they are product-based classes, and they're there, some classes might have 10 people, some classes might have 8, some of the classes might have 18. So you have to have a space for a little classroom, and then you just kind of rotate those classes. So that is one great way for you to also boost your sales and to make a little extra money and to give your customers something to do all weekend long. I have a group of people who come and take all the classes, and then they just use the time to socialize. And then I have a group of people that come to Scrapbook and they don't take any classes, and their job is to get like 100 pages done. But that way you have, and both of them are happy. If they want the structured classes, then they're available. Now they have to pay for them. They're $25 a piece. The next one is you have to have, I'm telling you this from experience, you have to have a policy that only Creative Escape attendees are allowed in your room. People are going to try to bring their kids, their husbands, their boyfriends, their grandchildren will come in. I have people come in, they just sit down and want to visit. No, everyone paid a lot of money to be there, and that person cannot just come and visit. So if they want people to, and it happens every single time, people want to come and visit, then they can go out and visit in the lobby. The scrapbooking room is only for paid attendees, and I have a sign on the door and I enforce it all the time. Do door prizes all weekend long. So I'll have like a little bucket. Actually, my door prize bucket is right here. And I fill it up with like retired things. Packs of handmade cards is one of my most popular door prizes, like 5 in a little bag. Adhesives, things that are like $10 or less. I put in there like past celebration paper or ribbons, buttons. They don't have to be, they're things I just have that are new, but are less expensive. So those are my door prizes. And I pick from, everybody's a color, and that's their door prize for the weekend. So I draw their color, and they get to come pick from the door prize. Not everyone gets a door prize, or maybe you have it so everyone does get a door prize. It just depends. I usually have so half of the people there will get a door prize. But I do them Friday night, I do them throughout the day on Saturday, and I do a late bird at 1 o'clock on Sunday, who's ever still there. I do the rest of the door prizes and then a couple other prizes that I have that I've kept behind. I love to play a game on Friday or Saturday night. We usually play bingo, or I'll do like a treasure hunt or a scavenger hunt. I do like to play some fun games. But just once. Now, in the beginning, I did games all the time throughout the whole weekend. And actually, some people loved it, but the majority of people were like, they always felt like something was going on. There wasn't any downtime. And they felt like they were missing out on stuff if they had to go to eat or if they had to go to the store. And so now I just do one game, and it's usually on Friday night. On the other night, if you go to the next step, I have a yummy dessert. So I've done like a chocolate fountain. Now I do gourmet cupcakes all the time. They love them. I'll have like a cheesecake. I've done cake pops. I've done these homemade donuts that are amazing. So I will bring in some sort of yummy dessert on the second night, and I bring it out later. The next one is to have someone create an inspiration station with their goodie bag contents in advance. This is cool. Remember I told you I was going to give you ideas to make the goodie bag so valuable, using them in your pillow gifts, using them for the make and takes, and then I'll have a station where, and I don't do it, remember you don't have time, delegate this. I'll give somebody their goodie bag early that's coming to the retreat, and I'll just say, hey, can you make up some projects with it? And then I'll put those out on display, or my partner will do that, or my helper. So it's just fun to have a display to show some additional uses for all those products in their goodie bag. Next, I have a helper who's in charge of the food setup and the catering, taking care of the catering. Again, you can't spread yourself too thin. You have to have someone else who simply like mans the food station, make sure everything is taken care of. The next is to also have a helper who helps with the classrooms, keeps the classroom clean and going back and checking on everybody to make sure that they're happy. You can't be in 5 places at once, and at a retreat, you're very busy. So have helpers. Usually, I have one helper who does all of these things, and she gets to come for free. You might have a helper that you give a free class to if she helps with all the classes. You might have a helper that hey, I'll give you your meals for free if you'll help man the food for me. So you just got to ask for help, and people will do it, but not if you don't ask. The next is kind of a funny one. Feed the hotel staff leftover food and desserts. Whenever I actually order, usually for like 1 or 2 more, and I use it to feed the hotel staff. We go and tell them everybody can come and eat whatever left over. And they love us, and they treat us very, very good. And they do lots of special things for us, and they don't charge me for some things because I know they love when we come there. That was the idea of one of my caterers about 5 or 6 or 7 years ago. And even though I don't use her anymore, I still adapt that policy because it changed the way that hotel treats us and the way that they treat my people. So, and when I order the dessert, I always get enough for the cleaning ladies and the front desk. I mean, that's like 7 or 8 more people. But I do that. It's so worth it because they treat us extremely well. The next one is to always collect a deposit for the next retreat at your retreat. So this is very hard. If you have people who back out on you, and they do because plans change. They might have bought it and the retreat's not till 6 months later, and they back out on you last minute. It's very hard to fill these spots. So when someone reserves their space, you have got to collect a non-refundable deposit. Please listen to me. I know you're not going to do it. Some of you will, but some of you won't because you're too afraid to take their money. I don't know what it is. But I know so many demonstrators that don't do this. They don't take a deposit. And all you have to do is just say, okay, if you want to come next time, it's $25. So to reserve their space, normally it's $50. If they reserve at the current retreat, then it's only $25. And my people come with their $25. And they have to do it with a check or cash. They can also, this is the cool part, they can also reserve spots for somebody who's not there if they want to like text them or call them, or they can reserve their spots as well. So anybody can reserve their spot on that Sunday for the next retreat for just $25. I do this, and typically my retreats are full when I leave that Sunday. Or they're about 95% full. I might have 5 or 6 spots left open because people will call their family and friends and invite them to come next time. People will see me on Facebook and want to come, or the people who are there just always reserve the spots for their next time. And the cool part is I have the money in my hand to already pay for the hotel, to buy the bags, and start buying supplies because I took that deposit. Okay. The next thing is you can arrange for a massage therapist. Doesn't cost you anything. They just get paid $1 per minute, and they come and set up. It's a great little perk to have there, and everybody pays for their own service. My girls love that. I love that. My therapist loves coming. She makes hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars while she's there. It's just good for everybody. Look for one on Google. You'll find one. Okay, next. You do not have to stay up till the last person. I used to in the very beginning, and I would go home and get very sick because I'd be very sleep deprived. Because I worked so hard beforehand, I'd stay up the whole weekend, and I'd try to come home and function as a human being, and I couldn't. So now I've learned that I go to bed when I'm tired, and I leave someone in charge who I trust, that I know is going to stay up late. And I just ask whoever is the last person to please go to the front desk and let them know so that they lock the doors. You just can't kill yourself at that weekend because you will pay for it in your family life, and that's not it. That's not good. I also arrange for one of my friends, kind of a helper. She's always the one who gets up early. She goes to bed like at 9 o'clock, but she gets up at 5 o'clock and goes down there. I don't go to bed till like 2, and I sleep until 9. But there's someone in that room that I trust almost all the time, but it does not have to be me because I don't want you to get sick. One retreat, I actually ended up in the hospital because I was so sleep deprived, and then I came home and my daughter got sick, and so trying to stay up and take care of her, I ended up putting myself in bad shape. So do not feel like you have to be up the whole time. The next one is these are things I'm thinking of that you have to remember to have a cash drawer or an envelope, and always have a notebook where you can keep the tabs of people who are buying things at your store. So I have a tab, and then they just pay at the end, and they just add it up and add it up and add it up. It's kind of funny. I don't put a credit card on file, but they have a tab, and they just pay it when they leave. The next step is to write everything down that happens that weekend. When it comes Monday, your brain will remember nothing. Trust me, you will remember nothing that happened. So when people give you money, write it down. When people sign up for the next time, take their form and write it down. When someone says, Rhonda, order me this, write it down. Whatever it is, you have a notebook next to you and you write every single thing down, because come Monday morning, I promise you, your brain, I don't care how smart you are, your brain will remember nothing because you will have been so sleep deprived and tired and fun and exhausted in a good way. So I write everything down. In the beginning, I would have like piles of checks and money that I'd find like months later because I forgot that someone gave me something, and it was just, I learned that was huge by mistakes. Okay, next, I offer an ordering special that day, or just that weekend. I just do free shipping off any size order, and I give everyone an order form, even if they're a demonstrator that has people with them. And I, of course, encourage the people to put orders in with the demonstrator who brought them. I have some of my demonstrator friends that bring like their family members, and they go home with huge parties. My last retreat, one of my down members got $600 in sales at that retreat. So that made me so happy. And I had customers who put orders in with me. So I just encourage ordering there for everybody. So I give everyone an order form as well. So have catalogs there too so people can shop. And I give them their order forms right away so they can be writing on them all weekend long. If you don't do order forms, then at least do a wish list that you give every single person. You can put it in their goodie bag, or you can at least set it on their table just so that they have it. And I do an ordering special. If they order at the retreat, I give them free shipping. So that saves them 10%. Okay, the next one is always have your next date ready, always, with your registration forms ready and printed, and take deposits that day for the next one, which I already talked about. And they can, so I kind of talked about this, but you want to make sure that you're ready for your next one. The last thing is to have fun. You do want to have a good time. If you're not having a good time, then they probably aren't either. So I make sure that I have my favorite snacks, I have my favorite drinks, I have my favorite people, I have everybody, I'm happy there. And I think that happiness, if I'm going to be away for a weekend, I'm going to have a fun time too. And I think that spreads off on everybody as well. I play my favorite music, I get my favorite food on the candy bar, and I have my favorite meals, and I just make sure that I'm having a good time too. So here's your homework for a full weekend retreat. Begin by finding your location. Step 1, you know that. I want you to pick your 2 or 3 dates after you found that and get them on your calendar. Again, are you going to find a partner? Get all those first 3 steps done. Number 3, you can Google crops or scrapbook retreats in your area to get an idea of a location or even an idea of like what's out there. Number 4, if you're sure not still what to do and you're still feeling a little iffy, find a local retreat that you can attend. Sometimes you learn best from attending them. And number 5, just jump in, get them started. Talk to someone if you need a partner and share your dream of getting this going, and then jump in and do it. All right, that's it for this go around. Next week, I'm going to actually show you some examples of like what a retreat would look like. The bag, some of the pillow gifts that I've done. I'll actually show you samples on here. And then we're going to talk about taking your retreat online to go. So this is a newer thing. I have not trained on this before. But a lot of people are starting to mimic them, and they have a lot of questions about them. I've been doing retreats in a box for almost 4 years, so I'm excited to share with you what I've learned about what to do and what not to do in a retreat in a box, and give you some logistical things that you can actually make those happen. Because a lot of people won't be able to come on the weekend that you pick, but they'll still want all the awesomeness that you have to offer. So I'm going to help share with you on how to do that, and then I'll just show you some visuals because we'll have a little bit more time once we won't have as much to cover. Okay, thanks again. We'll see you next week.